You know that feeling when you snag a budget 55-inch panel for a storefront, only to discover the colors look washed out, the bezel sticks out like a bad haircut, and the mounting hardware barely holds up after a week? I've seen a handful of those regrets turn into costly replacements, and it makes anyone pause before clicking add to cart. That hesitation is what I felt when I first looked at the Samsung QHC LFD 65-inch display. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The question I kept asking myself was simple: does this premium-looking unit actually solve the pain points that cheap alternatives create, or is it just another glossy box that looks great on paper? First off, this isn't a regular consumer TV. It's a commercial-grade elite backlit display built for signage, digital menus, and continuous play environments. That means the design philosophy is centered around durability, flexibility, and visual impact rather than binge-watching Netflix in a dark room. The biggest red flag for most buyers is the depth, a mere 28.5 mm. In a tight lobby or a compact retail aisle, that ultra-slim profile lets you mount the screen flush against the wall, eliminating the bulky box vibe that cheap panels often bring. I measured the clearance on a demo unit in a co-working space, and the screen sits almost flush, leaving just enough room for a cable conduit. That small detail makes a big difference when you're trying to keep the aesthetic clean and the floor space usable. The next thing that separates this Samsung from the budget crowd is its ability to switch between landscape and portrait orientation without sacrificing picture quality. Most low-price signs either lock you into one mode or require a separate unit for a vertical layout. With the QHC LFD, you can flip it to portrait and the pixel density stays consistent, thanks to the 4K panel and Samsung's smart calibration engine. In a real-world test, I set it up as a vertical menu board for a CAF. The text stayed sharp, the brand colors stayed true, and the menu updates were instantaneous through the web-based SmartView Plus interface. For a business that needs to display daily specials, that flexibility translates into fewer hardware purchases and less downtime. Now, let's talk about color. The dynamic crystal color branding isn't just marketing fluff. The quantum processor Lite works the entire panel's backlight and color mapping, delivering deep blacks and vivid shades that stay consistent from side to side. I ran a side-by-side comparison with a typical 4K consumer TV that had a standard LED panel, and the Samsung's reds and blues popped more like a printed poster, while the consumer TV looked a touch muddy, especially when viewed at an angle. For signage, where you're often competing with ambient lighting and passerby attention spans, that boost in chroma can be the difference between a glance and a lingering look. Practical strengths keep stacking up. The mount system is engineered for secure, even mounting, which means you won't have to worry about wobble after someone bumps the wall. The package includes a heavy-duty mount bracket designed for both indoor and semi-outdoor environments, and the installation guide walks you through a level check that takes minutes. Because the panel is thin, the bracket doesn't add much visual bulk, preserving that sleek look. Another hidden win is the built-in content scheduling through SmartView Plus. You can upload a playlist of images, videos, or even live data feeds, and the system will cycle them according to a timetable you set. For a small boutique that wants to showcase product videos in the morning, switch to promotional banners in the afternoon, and display social media feeds after hours, the workflow is intuitive enough that a non-technical staff member can manage it after a brief walkthrough. No product is without trade-offs, and the QHC LFD is no exception. The first thing you'll notice is the price tag. It sits well above what you'd pay for a consumer 65-inch 4K TV, because you're buying a display designed for 24/7 operation, a robust mount, and enterprise-grade software. If you're a hobbyist looking for a big screen for movies, that price might feel unjustified. Second, the built-in audio is modest, a single 10W speaker that can barely fill a quiet conference room. For a lobby or a retail space, you'll likely pair it with an external sound system or rely on ambient music elsewhere. Third, the SmartView Plus platform, while powerful, doesn't have the app ecosystem of a typical smart TV. You won't find Netflix, YouTube, or gaming services natively. The focus is on static and dynamic content you feed yourself. That's a strength for businesses that need control, but it's a limitation for anyone hoping to use the screen for personal entertainment. Who should actually consider buying this? If you run a retail store that needs eye-catching product showcases, a restaurant that wants a menu board that can rotate orientation, a corporate lobby that must display corporate branding alongside live data feeds, or an educational facility that needs a durable, low-profile display for digital signage, the Samsung fits the bill. It also makes sense for architects or interior designers who want a display that can